Hey!
Hey everybody, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Good.
Maybe
Very
one
good.
relationship will be intimate enough that you can just fix that for me.
Welcome to my home. I'm Dr. Mark Hatala, and these are my wonderful students. And today we're going to be talking about how do we know when a relationship is going well. But why don't we start with introductions? We start over here.
I'm Will.
I'm Annie.
I'm Zach.
I'm Maddy.
And I'm Ashley.
Yeah. So we've been talking about conflict in relationships, but let's switch things up and talk about when things are just doing well. So how do you guys know when a relationship is doing well?
Taking it back to what we were talking about.
Please, go ahead, Will.
Conflict. I feel like a really good indicator that I've noticed is like if you get in an argument and after it ends, the first thing you think about is what did I do wrong, not what did they do wrong. Like I think when you're in the right relationship, it really does kind of make you selfless, or at least more selfless. And I think when you're kind of in that mindset and you're more worried about the other person than you are about yourself, like that
Absolutely.
is a really good sign. Also, I think if you've been dating for I guess it depends on the person, I would say a long period of time where it doesn't feel like it's getting stale at all, I think is a good indicator too. Like if it's bad, because I've been in plenty of like shorter relationships, where at first it's going great, and after a couple of months, when you're just doing the same stuff over and over again, it's like, I can't do this anymore, It's like when you get in the one, though, where you can do that, and I'm not saying don't keep it fresh because that's important, but sometimes you can't, especially when you're in college. Sometimes those dates are going to be as simple as going to the bowling alley, going to the movies, maybe going to 1,000 Hills. So if you can do that, and, and it doesn't feel stale, you're excited all the time to do these kinds of things, and you're like, this feels great. I think that's a really good indicator as well.
Actually, I'm going to go off of that just because I was smiling when you were talking about that. I don't think the people I get in relationships with, things never get stale. I don't know if you've ever seen that Far Side cartoon where it's the dogs, they're getting fed, and the one dog says, "Oh boy, dog food." He's all excited about it. So generally always excited about stuff. But
No.
please,
I think
Ashley.
Going off of your first point about being more selfless in an argument and things like that, I think this is a theme with me, but I think arguments really are a good measure of a good relationship, of like how you argue and what you do when you argue. I think when you cannot like them and like be upset with them, but not feel like your relationship is in jeopardy, like when you two can be in an argument and currently disagreeing, like having to like work through that, but you can go to work and still think, well, we have to work through this, and like that's the mentality of like, we're going to get through this, like this is uncomfortable, but like he's gonna be there tomorrow, I think that is a really good sign when like every disagreement isn't like, you're not afraid that this is the one, know?
Yeah, I think that like
Please, Maddy.
security can often be like a good sign that things are going well, that you're like not worried that like all of a sudden you're gonna lose that, Yeah, but like again, building off of you guys, like conflict resolution, being able to do that proactively and just work through your stuff, but also like still be into that person. I dated someone for like 3 years, and
Which at your age is a long time.
yeah, I guess.
It's like a third, well, not a third.
Of your dating life, though, maybe.
I mean, sure,
Yeah.
in high school.
Yeah, but
It is kind of
just
okay.
like even after like 3 years of being with them, I wasn't like, oh, it's you again. Like, like I was happy. I was happy to see them, happy to interact with them.
It's the oh boy dog food,
I mean, I
It's
don't know if I
exciting
would
to see
say,
that
like-
same thing over and over again.
Dog food, per se.
But dogs get excited about the same
Yeah.
stuff every day.
But just like being very content and
Yeah,
my needs are satisfied and their needs are satisfied, and
yeah,
we're able to work through stuff and just have the security of not being like, oh, is he gonna leave me tomorrow?
yeah. Very good.
I think that's good, like having
Annie?
security and like being content, having like good energy between the two of you, but also like not constantly having like doubts about the person. Maybe like I know doubts can be normal, but like when you're not like every little thing that they do or that you do, like not kind of like, well, I don't know, is this what I really want or not? It's more like I'm like committed to this person, like I want to be with this person, like there's nothing I really want to like change about them necessarily.
Going off of that, I think like, and this is kind of an individual, it's not something you can really look at another relationship and see, but like in a relationship that you think is working, I think being less like attracted to other people is a good indicator as well. Like that moment when like you see somebody attractive and you're like, wow, they're attractive. And then you think, I'm so excited that I have an attractive person waiting for me at home, you know? And like that kind of concept. But it's not that, like, I think that the idea that you will not find anyone else attractive ever once you found your person is a little unrealistic. But I think that that idea that you're not looking for people as actively and it's not something that is as tempting for you, I think is a good indicator that you're pretty solidly wanting to be with this person. That when you see other people, the first thought isn't, wow, I like that person. Your first thought is, they're not as good as my person, you know?
You know, actually, if I go off that though too, there's if you guys know the painter Dürer, he once said that there is no one so beautiful that you can't imagine them more beautiful. And I think when you're in love with somebody, you can't imagine them more beautiful because their flaws they're not flaws, but scars are interesting, and that's part of who they are.
Makes them unique.
So it makes them unique, and there's a story behind how that happened. And so I agree with you 100%. Other people become less attractive when things are going well and you know that you're in love.
But I hedge that a lot because I know quite a few people who are polyamorous and into monogamy and things like that, and like I don't think that necessarily the idea that when you're with somebody and it's going well, that it's impossible to find anyone else attractive in that way, you know?
Of course, yeah. No, that's a good point.
And that means that you don't love that person, you know?
Yeah, for me, I've only been in monogamous relationships, so I've never dealt with having other companions other than the one. But we used, like, something I would always say is, like, yes, I can acknowledge the fact that other people are attractive. That person's attractive, that person's attractive, that person's attractive, but I'm not, like, attracted to them. Like, I'm not like, man, I really want to go talk to them and get to know them more and, like, whatever. Like, I'm just like, oh, yeah, they're objectively attractive. Like, I look at other girls and be like, well, those girls are objectively attractive, too. It doesn't mean I want to, like, pursue it, per se.
No, these are good points.
No, that was great. Thank you so much.
Zach, you haven't had much to say about this.
Well, personally, I have two indicators of like relationship contentment, one of which comes earlier than the other. And the first one is when I stop trying to impress them. And then the second one is when we can just coexist in a place, sit in silence for a couple of hours, and afterward we can both still feel like we've had a fulfilling interaction.
Yeah. What sounds like a friendship at that level then too.
Okay.
Should we be friends?
I mean, right.
I do think that is a lot. Like, I think that to that statement, like, you can have a friendship that gets to that level as well, but I think that is a level that you reach with a person, that being able to, I think it goes a lot along with the idea of not needing to impress another person. And I think that it is a really good sign. And you can have it in both platonic and romantic relationships, but I think in romantic relationships it's a lot stronger of an indicator of longevity than it is in like a platonic relationship, because there's less to do in a platonic relationship.
Well, I guess that,
like there are
that
less
is true.
factors involved. I feel like
Sure.
you have to have a little bit of a platonic relationship in your romantic relationship as well.
I agree.
I think
Please.
Well, I think people can fall in love with someone else before they're friends with them, and that you should try to foster a friendship with your partner.
I think that's true too. And actually that's what the research shows too, is that passionate relationships turn into long-term friendships. That as couples are together for years and years. But other thoughts? Please.
Have you ever seen a study? I just want to know, because I feel like this is vastly interesting to me. But I feel like there's a lot of research that shows that passionate relationships regularly turn into long-term friendships, you know, and that's just like the cycle of a relationship. But I feel like what you see in the movies and what's like often more dramatized is that the reversal of that, of a long-term friendship turning into a passionate relationship. And I'm wondering if that is just something anecdotally that we see as more uncommon, or if that is something that actually is more uncommon and more against the grain of what human beings have a tendency to do. And I'm wondering if you, in your vast experience.
But is it
About it.
but don't people choose to be friends with somebody and that excludes them from being in a romantic relationship? And so they
I
are
would
your
say
friend.
yes, but I'm wondering if there's any like psychology or like research to back that up. You know, that the friend zone is a thing that inhibits the romantic zone.
That's a very good question. And I don't know the literature on that well enough to say. I'm a huge fan of opera because in opera, everyone lives their life to their fullest. And so it's like, they love these people, they hate these people, and it's, that level of passion and emotionality, which just isn't in there, I think, in a friendship. Friends are like, you know, what do you want to do? I don't know, what do you want to do? And so it's not like, the stakes seem much lower, I guess, is what I would think. Other thoughts about when relationships are going well?
Well, one
Please,
last
Maddy,
thing that I wanted to
you
say.
get the last word, please.
Oh, is that like, okay, so most of my exes, I've like been able to have like friendships with after as well. Like sometimes there's like a little bit of a period where it's like we just need time apart, but then maybe we can be friends again because of like how things end. But I've found that because I have been like good friends with my like exes while we have been in relationships, I don't want to like lose that platonic relationship just because I'm losing the romantic relationship part. Because just because our romantic relationship didn't work doesn't mean the like platonic one didn't.
Yeah.
Because that is still a good valid friend, but like
I agree, and I have long-term relationships the same way. And at the beginning of a relationship, I think a lot of times people have a hard time understanding that you have a platonic relationship with, because it's like you know their whole life, and yeah.
And especially like in a like a long-term relationship, at least like most of my relationships have been like over longer than a year.
And they're friends, and you do care what happens
and like
to them.
you get so invested in that person's life while you're together. You know, they're like the person that you come to whenever you're like going through shit, and then like vice versa. So like it's weird to just like remove that person from your life and like to have them like know about your life and like be your support and all this stuff, and then be like nope, never mind. No relationship at all.
As an older person, the kind of stuff that we talk about are what our kids are doing, because they like my kids, I like their kids, and then that's what we're interested in, is what they're up to now. Well, that's how we know whether relationships are going well, but we'd be interested in your thoughts about how do you know when a relationship is going well. So please leave that in the comments, and we'd ask you to like and subscribe and have good relationships. Have a great day.
Yeah, that's always the goal, isn't it?
Okay,
Actually,
is there
no.
time to do one more?
I think
There's time to do one more.